What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm back, and I thought that you guys might want to see a really quick and easy way to make some salsa verde. So I'm going to show you. Normally I would put garlic in this recipe, but when I got back from the grocery store, I cracked open the garlic and it was just completely rotten and it was gross. So we're going to start out with some tomatillos, some white onion, some serrano chilies, and we're going to add some salt later. And that's pretty much going to be it. First, you're going to peel these tomatillos. There's generally 3 different versions of tomatillo salsa or salsa verde. And in each of the recipes, it's the same amount of ingredients. It's just a different technique. So you could use these same ingredients and roast everything before you puree it. You could do it all raw, which is actually really popular. It's a really popular method to do it. Is just like literally take everything raw and blend it up and you're done. And it's pretty good that way also. I just prefer mine this way, which is, people say it's boiled salsa verde. And really you just we're gonna bring this up to the boil. So we've got all our tomatillos in the pot. You can wash them if you want to. I never do. I think it just kind of strips away some of that flavor. 2 serrano chilies go in the pot. And this is a half of an onion that I have right here that I just diced up ahead of time. And you're just going to put that in there. And after that, I'm just going to cover this in some cold water. You do want it to be cold because this recipe is simple, but it is important the amount of time and the amount you cook the tomatillos. If you cook them for too long, they're just going to break down, fall apart. They're going to take on a lot of water, and the salsa will be fine. It's just going to be super watery and very bland. But what we're going to do here is just cook these tomatillos. We're going to put it cold water on high heat. It's going to come up to a boil, and as soon as these tomatillos turn sort of like an army green, then that's going to tell me that tomatillos are cooked through. We're going to take it off the heat. I've got a metate that we're going to make the salsa verde with. It's just basically going to grind it to a paste, and we're going to add a little bit of water and a little bit of salt. So here we go. I'm going to add this to the stovetop. Alright guys, so it's starting to come up to a simmer here. You can just kind of lightly stir it around, it's fine. But the reason that you want to start this out in cold water is so the outside doesn't cook before the inside is completely done. So it's just kind of like if you've ever been told to, start potatoes off in cold water whenever you're making mashed potatoes. The reason for that is if you put them in hot water, it's going to immediately start to cook the outside, and it's not going to ruin the recipe. And some people actually will bring a pot of water up to a complete boil first and blanch them and just cook them less, but I just kind of like the texture and the flavor that they take on after they get started in the cold water, and everything kind of comes up and cooks evenly. So it's up to a simmer right now. I'm just going to cut the heat down so it doesn't boil too hard. Don't worry about, you're not necessarily going to overcook anything to where it's like ruined. It's just a textural thing, and there's a pretty big window as far as the stopping point. Just don't cook it until these tomatillos are falling apart. They're still pretty firm, so we'll let them go for a minute. And I'll check back in probably about a minute. Alright, these have probably been up to simmer for, I don't know, about 3 minutes or something like that. They're starting to get softened. And I feel like they're just about where we want them. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off the heat and just drain it in a colander. Alright, so this is the metate. This is an ancient piece of equipment that they used in Mexico and other parts of Central and South America. It's just basically a large piece of volcanic stone. This is all one piece, and I forget what this is called, but this is the metate, and the grinder actually has a different name, but it's just kind of like a basalt rod. And they used these things for all kinds of different stuff back in the day, and then back in the day I mean like thousands of years ago. So it's sort of the same principle as a molcajete or a mortar and pestle, except for it's flat and you just grind like this. So let me show you guys how it's used. I got a couple pieces of parchment down there at the bottom because inevitably we will lose a little bit, but completely fine. And you actually want to kind of get all the goodness there. And so first we just kind of want to slowly just crush the tomatillos. And these are, she got a little excited there. These are still really hot, so. That's kind of it. And this is it, y'all. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt. Stir it up. It's a little bit thick, so we're going to add some water to it. It's not so thick that you can't spread it. I'm going to give it a small taste here. It's delicious. Super fresh. God. So, I mean, this is it. I mean, it's absolutely delicious. Perfect amount of heat. And one of my favorite ways to enjoy salsa verde is with steak. Time for the money shot. Let's see how I did. I mean, I already know it's going to be good, so just try to capture that in emotion for you. I mean, talk to any French saucier, and they'll tell you, you know, sauce work is meant to complement, not to overtake, you know. And that's just exactly what the salsa verde does. It just complements pretty much anything you put it with so well. I mean, beef, pork, chicken, fish, it doesn't matter. Like, the flavor is so versatile. Tomatillos are just naturally sort of acidic. The heat level's perfect if you use that ratio of 4 normal sized tomatillos to 2 serranos, and then add a little bit of water there at the end because it's going to be thick. You're good to go. Talk to you later.